So Optimus International Greater Santa Clarita Valley presents the 15th Annual Wine Affair, Viva Las Vegas. I was hoping they'd have a whole bunch of like Elvis impersonators, but apparently
No.
that's not going to happen.
They're keeping it classy.
Sunday, wait a minute, what?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sunday, April 14th in Old Town Newhall. You indulge in fine wine, beer, and cuisine while supporting the fight against human trafficking. And we talked about this a dozen times. It doesn't evade our little valley here. You know, we might be in a bubble, but we're not in a bubble against some of this really nasty stuff. And the mere fact that it's the day before tax day, you know, throw back some wine, relax, because when you write the check on Monday, you ain't going to be very happy anyhow. Because most of what I'm reading out there, small businesses are paying almost 29% more than they did a year in taxes from a year ago. And that's big bucks. So check it out at sigscv.org. That's sigscv.org. And we have one of the sponsors of that. You know, I didn't know Bri King is with us here in studio, and I didn't know. I love small businesses that are giving back to the community, involved in the community, and doing things for the community because you know that's what it's about, right? It's all about community.
It sure is. Yeah, we at Prime Real Estate and Bri King and Associates, we give 10% of our proceeds back every year to local charities here in town.
Oh, wow. Well, not only that, your ears must have been burning the other day. We had the people in from SIG, from Serapa, I can't even say it today. Thank you. What she said, they were in here yesterday and they couldn't sing your praises loud enough. They said you've been so helpful in this.
I think that's what makes you successful in town, though, in a community like this, right? I mean, they see you, they know you're not just in it for yourself, you're giving back to the community. I think it's a big deal.
We're very blessed, and and I believe in giving back. I've been there myself. You know, we've all been through hard times, and so I think when you're up, you should give back, and when you're down, you work harder.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you go shopping with us.
I do go shopping with you. I apologize
I love
about
that. No, I love it.
I go to Trader Joe's, so I don't have to look at myself.
She's on the shopping baskets, folks, if you don't know what we're talking about. And she keeps us company.
Yeah, I don't do well at shopping anyway, so no, really, seriously. All right, real estate market here. You know, you and I were talking on the phone the other day, and you were telling me how inventory is twice as much. Was it about twice as much or a little bit more than it was a year ago?
We have 378 homes on the market right now in Santa Clarita. In the last 2 years, we've been stuck about 180. So our inventory has doubled since the beginning of the year, believe it or not. So I do believe that buyers have a little bit more to choose from and a little bit more wiggle room. So if we get up to 800 homes, we would actually be in a true buyer's market. So we'd have about 6 months worth of inventory. Right now, we're stuck at about 2.5 months. So
what's the average? The average range, the cost of a home.
Average home price is about $850,000 here in Santa Clarita. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
above our pay grade.
Yeah, I don't know if I could. I think I'd have to go to work at McDonald's to be able to afford that. I don't know, but no, it's are these new homes or are these mostly?
So 10% of those are new construction that they list on the MLS. The rest of them are all resales.
Yeah. So I won't give his name out because he didn't give me permission to, but I was talking to one of the developers in town that built a lot of homes, and they have come to the realization they're retooling. And when I say retooling, they're looking at ways, to your point, you brought up that to buy down the interest, so it makes it a little bit more affordable, and to actually maybe even get an equity position with the property, do something to help younger folks get in. And he was explaining to me, as you were saying, that some of these couples come in, they've got, you know, between the two of them, they're making $250,000, maybe $300,000 a year, and that's what's allowing them to move into these. But it doesn't allow them a lot of wiggle room once they get in there.
Sure, and the interest rates, as we know, hiked up yesterday 1/4 point. Hopefully that'll lessen out throughout the week, but 1/4 point interest rate on an $800,000 home hits your payment about $230 a month.
Oh wow!
That's in one day.
Wow!
Now, if we drop 1/4 point tomorrow, that'll also save you that money.
Yes.
So fun how that works, but interest rates change every single day. So you want to make sure as soon as you open escrow that you lock your rate to make sure that you know what you're signing up for as you get in.
But you had talked about getting pre-approved for the loan. That doesn't lock you into a rate necessarily, but it does
Not
give you
till
the
you're
approval.
under contract, right? Yeah, once you open escrow and you have a signed contract, then you can lock your rate. There are some lock and shop programs out there, but you do have to pay for those in advance.
So that's the order. Get pre-approved first, even possibly before you start looking and falling in love with anything. But get pre-approved, and then how long does that pre-approval last you for?
So typically they're good for about 90 days. But what I would suggest is if you want to buy a home 6 months from now, I would talk to a lender today. Just because maybe you don't want to put the whole 20% down on the house. Maybe you want to pay off your car. There are different ways to structure your entire life, and maybe, paying off that car hikes up your FICO score, which now allows you a better interest rate. So you have lots of pre-planning to do.
Yeah, when I started looking for my house, I didn't have bad credit, I had no credit, because I bought everything cash. If I didn't have cash, I wouldn't buy it. And I had to wait for years to start, getting credit cards and building up my credit score, so I became a real person.
Yeah, if you don't use your credit card consistently,
Yes.
zero balance actually hurts you.
Yeah, that's what they were doing.
Isn't it
Why it
funny how
makes
that
no
works?
sense to me. I
It
thought I
doesn't
was
to me
being
either.
such a good girl.
Were there accommodations made for FICO scores with the big, crash of real estate and the pandemic and what have you that hurt people that couldn't make payments? Some of them didn't have jobs or were getting minimum amounts. Were there any adjustments made for that?
So technically your minimum FICO score is 620 to get an FHA loan, so 3.5% down, obviously. So that being said, there are some accommodations made, but ideally still, the better your FICO score, the better your interest rate's going to be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Down payments. You and I kind of talked about this the other day, and are you better off? And I've talked to some finance people because there's a fine line there today. Where do I put more money down so I bring my payment down? What, $100, or to your point, maybe $200, or do I invest that money into something that might bring me more than that, a higher yield?
That's an interesting question, because as I was saying, I'm more conservative on the financial side, where I'd prefer to have the lower payment and be a little bit safer, but you also want to look at the options of maybe buying down your interest rate, right? Versus, so for example, even like paying off your solar panels, it's going to take you 4.5 years to make that money back. So are you going to keep the house for that long before you make that decision? Also, when it comes to your down payment, maybe we put 10% down, and the additional 10%, now we're juggling, are you going to have PMI or not? So PMI, is basically money thrown away too. So really, like I was saying, I would ideally speak with a lender and weigh your options and make sure that you have the reserves there as well. You don't want to, don't want to be house poor either with a $10,000 a month mortgage payment.
Yeah, we were talking about ADUs last time as well, and it's also a good option to bring some income into your house maybe, or you're talking about young people, how do they get in, how do they invest in their own property?
One of the cool things I've seen lately within the family, so let's say we've got a young couple that wants to move up, and the parents they have some extra money, but they want to buy a rental property. Well, when you're buying a rental property, the interest rate's 1% higher than if you were owner occupying the property. So your interest rate's going to be 7% instead of 6%.
Oh, wow.
So the parents, instead of putting the $200,000 down on a rental, are going to give the kids $200,000, put the parents on title on the small house, turn that into a rental, and the $200,000 goes into the kids moving up.
I like it.
So now it's all in the family. You put it in the trust, and you have a rental property at the lower interest rate on both ends.
Okay, you guys got to go see her to talk about this thing, because you've already given me solutions. What's the favorite part of your job? And I'm asking for you and for me. I'm foreseeing what I'll be doing in the future. What's your favorite part of being a real estate agent, Brooke?
You know what? I've been doing this for 25 years, and I would say, it never gets old when you hand over keys, of course. But really, my favorite part is escrows always get a little rocky at some point.
Yes.
Whether it's requests for repairs or,
Yes.
whatever little hurdle we have. And so connecting people and solving the problem is really my favorite part, is when everybody goes,
good.
oh, thank you, I feel so much better.
Giving that
So
personal
it's not necessarily
touch.
closing,
I like
it's just
that.
when we fix the problem.
So I know this
I
is
like that.
politically incorrect, but did you start at 10?
I
You
know.
said you've been doing this for 25 years. Seriously.
I actually started when I was 16 years old as a
Wow.
junior
My
loan
mom was
processor.
into this business as well.
Yes.
Right? That's
yeah, I
how
got
you came
licensed
up.
as soon as I was old enough.
You had said something the other day, and I started asking some of my younger friends. I don't have anybody that young as a friend, but I started asking some of my younger friends, and what's your thought about when you actually move into a house? What are you looking for? What have you? And you were right on to where they were talking about walking into these houses that are done and finished and pristine, and you're going, I didn't walk into my first house and it was done and pristine, and I used to pray over the air conditioner to hope it would kick in, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we're going to go for a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about that, because you must see a lot of young people show up and go, oh no, I want something like this. But so
Good. I've got a question along those lines too. Good.
Trending
Very good.
SUV here at KHTS AM 1220 FM 98.1. Bri King will be with us when we return.
Let's get back to talking about houses and real estate and money and stuff.
Look at the real estate lady. I mean,
No, you had a good question, and I want to piggyback on your question.
okay, well, we've got Bri King here, and Bri, I was asking you about the young people who are looking at houses, and you had mentioned, starter homes, small homes. I like what you said about, we look at our parents' houses and think that's what we're supposed to start with. These first-time buyers, they walk into these smaller homes that you're showing them they can afford. Do they have that look on their face like, really? This is what you're showing us?
They go, I can't do this. There's no way.
I'm not living in this.
Sometimes the kids have to share a room for a couple of years until
boy.
you work your way up. I've got 5 boys. They share.
Very good.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Even I had a decent job, and I had all 4 kids in the same room at one time. I had 2 bunk beds, one on each side of the room, right? And then when I made a little bit more money, we moved to another house, and they both had they had 2 bedrooms. One was for the girls, one was for the boys. I never got to the point where all of them had their own bedroom.
Joe, you don't want them to get too comfortable, then they'll never leave.
Exactly.
It's like a bad rash. They keep coming back. Yeah, no, thank you.
But that's such a good advice about not thinking that your first home is your forever home. Thinking about it as an investment sounds a whole lot smarter.
It's a
which is what you're
stepping
talking
stone.
about. It's a stepping stone. I
Yeah,
like planning
maybe
ahead.
turn it into a rental down the road, or you
Yeah.
roll the equity. I mean, my first house certainly didn't have, the pool and the view and all those things. You
Right.
have to fix it up, put money into it as you live there too. That's the other
Right.
thing. The deferred maintenance adds up over the years. You want to make it nice over time.
When you talk to some of these young people, and you just brought up a good point, they don't really think about fixing things and maintenance and having to replace stuff and what have you. Do you maybe suggest to them that, hey, you need to have a maintenance savings account, throw a couple $100 a month in it or something?
Well, how do you, is that how you do it? A savings account or a home warranty? How do you best
The
plan
home
for that?
warranty is there obviously in case something breaks unexpectedly, right? So which is nice that'll run you about $600 a year or so, and if they can't fix it for the $90 deductible, then they'll replace it. But you also want to make it beautiful too, right? So keeping up on your sprinklers and your landscaping and clearing brush and all those things are necessary. You want to make sure the swallows' nests are,
Right.
are pushed out of the way.
Right,
So
right.
these things.
Can you really ever keep the sprinklers up?
No.
No,
That's
it's
like
never ending. I know, that's a bad
never-ending
reference.
problem.
We have a mutual friend, Jason Gibbs, and every time he calls me on the weekends, he's like, "Are you outside?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You're fixing sprinklers, aren't you?" Yeah. Yes, I am. It's like that. Like what was it, Caddyshack, where he's chasing the gopher?
Right.
I'm always chasing that hole in a pipe, a crack in a pipe, a sprinkler that's busted. Yeah.
It's impossible. I got kind of a staging question here. When do you advise sellers to really not put up pictures of their family or of their religious beliefs? Why is that important to not have that, as adorable as their family might be?
Oh my gosh,
wonderful?
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's some Hallmark photos I've seen that are awesome. But you know what it is? It's actually just distracting to buyers. So they walk
Exactly.
in and they go down a rabbit hole in their mind with, oh my gosh, they got married here. I've been there before, and oh, their kids are so cute, and and then
Yes.
they just start to tell themselves their story as opposed to thinking about their own when they're walking through the house.
They need to think about their story
So
when they're
you
walking.
take
through the
I thought
house.
I thought you wanted to look lived in. See, I'm looking at it differently. You want it to look lived in and happy and family.
You do, but you don't want to overwhelm them. So sometimes I've seen like life-size portraits down the hallway. It's just
Yikes.
quite
Okay,
distracting.
that would
So
scare me.
I wouldn't say get rid of every single thing, but just really minimize so that they
Right.
can envision themselves.
Well,
there.
here's the thing: is you're gonna have to pack that stuff away anyhow.
Exactly.
May as well start, because if you get people to start thinking, you want them to think about it's their living space, right? What they are going to look like in the house, not about what you look like in the house. Nobody cares.
Yeah, good luck with that. My wife got going up the stairway. She's got pictures, things that the kids drew and did over the years.
Oh, well, that's
So-
cute.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's kind of the growth,
Yeah,
pattern
no,
of all the
that's
kids,
adorable.
and it ends up with pictures of them with the grandkids.
Oh, it's like
each
a
one of
timeline.
them.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can get her to
That's
take those
kind of-
down,
No, that's kind
you're
of
a lot better than I
adorable.
am.
I don't know
but,
if and loud colors as well. Just because you like chartreuse, the buyers.
I'll tell you a funny story. So my photographer Steve he makes me laugh because he goes, I know there's red in the photo. I'll take it out. There was a house that was sitting on the market with another company for 6 months in Newhall a couple years back. Didn't.
Bree, hold that story. I know we're keeping you long, but I'm enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, and
I
I've
think
got a
people
follow
are.
up to that.
All right, you're listening to Trending SCB here on KHTS AM 1220 FM 98.1. Be back in a minute with Bri King.
And we are back with Trending SCV, Sonia Schmidt and
Joe Messina. We're here with Bri King with Prime Real Estate. And Bri, before we get rolling, why don't you give them information on how they can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So our office is right here on Town Center Drive. So we are near Larson's, and you can call me directly always, 661-433-4485, and you can find that number on the shopping carts as well.
That's right.
That's right. I see you almost every day.
She always shops with me.
No, why don't you continue on with your questions about?
No, I want to hear the story about the red walls.
Yes,
walls.
the red-
or
So it was
room.
actually red chairs.
Oh, chairs,
So
sorry.
basically, I went into a listing and they said, Bri, we've been on the market for 6 months. Why is our house not selling? What do we do? And I looked around and I'm like, this house is so neutral. You have 2 red Italian leather chairs in the front room, and the photos pick up so much of that red that everyone's looking at the house going, oh, I remember that house, and I don't remember what I didn't like about it, but I don't like it. And they just go past it. You want to keep the house as neutral as possible online, so buyers just kind of fall into all of the beauty of it, not just getting stuck on, oh, I remember that specific thing about it, and I don't know what I don't like, but I don't like it.
Right.
So I photoshopped those chairs brown and sold the house for the same price the same weekend.
Wow, that is so
Wow.
smart.
So they were still red in the house, but the
There's
photos
something
carry so much weight.
psychological about all of this stuff. We were talking the other day about if the furniture is in a weird, situated oddly, you don't know what it is necessarily, but it puts you off. They're not staging homes online, are they? Like you were just saying, photoshopping. Is that a possibility? If you do have that chartreuse wall, can they make that red or make that white and show it on the website? I don't think
Technically, you can, but what you don't, so there's like a virtual staging option where they'll, do the virtual furniture. I'm personally not a big fan, mainly because then the buyers walk in the house and they're a little
This is
disappointed.
not-
It's like,
yeah.
wait a minute, where did the sofa go?
Right,
So
right.
I personally believe in actual true staging. I think that
I
works
think
wonders.
that's what.
All right, I'm going to ask you an old-fashioned question, okay? Because when we were looking at the house, I had the old-fashioned mindset where it's her house, whatever she wants.
That's right.
Nice.
Do you sell? I got to ask you: do you sell to the woman or do you sell to the man?
My husband and I are a big team, and so
Right.
I love. You can usually tell which couples are like there's the alpha in the relationship, or they just truly they work off of each other. So it just every relationship's different, and it's the one that's most excited, and you'll usually see one just kind of take a back seat, or like my husband and I were both drivers, so it's like you want to
Oh,
impress
that must
both
be
of us.
fun.
Good luck.
Right.
So
I walked right to the backyard to make sure I had enough room to plant tomatoes and cucumbers and that kind of stuff, and she looked at the rest of the house and
Yeah.
decided.
sometimes there's garage people.
It was-
Everybody's got their thing. It's like she
Yeah.
gets the closet, he gets the
Yeah.
garage, or vice versa.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a garage person, actually.
Is that right?
Yes, I like the garage.
Really?
Yeah. Epoxy floor is the first thing with glitter that I do when I buy a house.
Is that right? That's funny.
I've heard the term that the house sometimes would be too cluttered, and people get in there and you've actually made the house look smaller than it actually is. So, suggestion when you're getting ready to sell the house.
That's something that that our team does. So we'll come in and we actually have an amazing group. Jamie with Mow and Me Clutter Free comes in and she'll just politely say, you know what? Like what I do when I'm selling my own personal residence, I hand my key to her and I say, do whatever you want. And it's amazing how someone else will look at your space differently than you. So you just kind of have to let the ego down a bit and pack away maybe 10 to 30% of what you've got going on.
Ooh.
You're going to pack it anyways. It's okay.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to pack it anyway.
see,
Even in your
yeah.
closets. If you want your closets to look bigger, pack some of those clothes. Get rid. See, I don't know that I could politely, even though I'm a stager, I don't think I have a demeanor for it. I would walk in and go, ew. No.
Yeah, that has to go. I mean, the bread maker on the counter, things
Right.
like that you don't use every day, just put it away.
Just
you
put
know?
it
Really?
away. Yeah, counter space.
No car
Do you want your
sorters,
counter space to look cluttered or spacious?
Wow, we'd have to rent like a 8 by 40 foot pod to
We
get
can
rid
do
of
that.
all
You're gonna move it anyhow. So yeah.
I mean, seriously.
exciting
and it's
work.
funny you were talking about the home warranty programs, and we had one for a while, and then we realized and some of them are a bit of a chore to get what you want, what you need out of them. But we realized at one point that they had already replaced pretty much every appliance in the house. we dumped
Wow.
it. Just
So it was worth it.
Decided to take it. Was yes, I'll give you that. Even
think
paying for
so.
3 or 4 years or what have you. Once they replaced everything, yeah, it was worth it to have it. It saved us a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you can add your roof. Did you know that?
No,
No.
I
You
did
can
not
add your
know.
roof to your home warranty as well as
Okay.
your pool equipment. So
That's right, yeah.
Well, my pool equipment.
You pick it, it's almost like a menu. You can get a basic one and then you
Yeah.
can start adding on different things. And I got grandfathered in from the last house I bought,
You
which we
can't-
just
you
learned
can't
we
use
can't use the term
grandfathered.
grandfather.
Anymore.
Oh,
I just want,
stand.
Keep up, come on, Bri.
stay with the program.
I'm gonna tape that inside of my car. Words to not use to offend people.
Exactly.
All right,
Be
Bri,
a long
I
list.
again, I love having people on. We learn a lot about it. Some of the stuff I would have never thought about. I would have never given a second thought. You know, I would open the door and said, "Yeah, what's wrong? We live here, okay?
Yeah.
Our house is definitely lived in, and
You'll get a premium for it. That's the thing. If you make a little bit of effort, it's amazing how the return on your value, really your net, is what's going to come back to you if you put a little bit of work in.
I know she's long gone, but the woman who sold us the house looked like she took bottles of Pepto-Bismol and just blew them up in
Oh,
every room.
pink.
The whole house was pink on the inside.
Pink tiles back.
And my wife could see
Isn't it?
past
Should've
it.
left it.
I
Wow.
couldn't. I walked in and went, "Yeah, this is not going to happen." And she's
Yeah,
like,
we had that at
"Relax.
my mom's house.
You can put paint on it.
primer and
Relax."
some
So,
tape.
Oh, yeah, I want to talk design trends the next time you come back.
I would love that.
Okay, good.
okay. All right. Well, you're listening to Trending SUV with Bri King and Bri with Prime Real Estate. Again, tell people how to get a hold of you so they can remember.
You can call me direct right now. 661-433-4485 is my cell phone. And come out to the Wine Affair on Sunday, right here at downtown Main Street.
Hey,
We are
that's-
the
yeah,
lead sponsor.
You don't
Been
want me
talking
on
about
wine.
it all week.
It doesn't work out
Hey,
well.
I'll be
So,
there.
and thanks for being part of that support team for them.
It's our
great.
privilege.